Thank you, Miles, very much for that kind introduction and everything you do for financial services in the UK. And amidst all the fantastic work that the City UK does, representing not only your members, but also the whole sector, some of your most important work is in the regions and nations agenda. Led by your amazing network of chairs, who I'm very pleased to be meeting later on today, representing every corner of the UK, you prove what we all know to be true, that our financial services industry is a huge nationwide powerhouse, employing more than 500,000 people outside London and driving our prosperity both today and into the future. So it's a pleasure to be with you this morning at conference, and every single person has asked me how our train was, because I gather there were some problems yesterday. I can tell you I was only 6 minutes late, so I'm very happy to be here. And it's quicker to get here than to get from South London to North London, so very pleased to be here. Thanks for having us, Miles. It's appropriate that we are here in Birmingham. It's one of the country's great cities with a formidable commercial history, a proud and growing record in financial services. It's a real honor when I was appointed in July of this year as part of a government with a clear central mission of growing the economy. And many of you will know that I was elected alongside Emma Reynolds, who will be familiar to you. And she's also a colleague, the first joint minister between the Department for Pensions, for Work and Pensions, and also the Treasury. She's not well today, but she's briefed me on everything that happens at conference, so very pleased to be here and to say that she wishes you all well. But what I'm united with, along with Emma and also the Chancellor, is to deliver growth across the country. And that's what I want to talk about today, some of the steps that we've taken in the last few months that we've been in government to set out our priorities for the years ahead, and how I see us working together to deliver that central mission of growing the economy. Because let's not be in any doubt, this is a crucial moment for our financial services sector. It will sit at the heart of the government's plans to deliver growth across the UK as one of the most successful sectors in its own right and as a key enabler of growth for us in our country. But we need to be realistic about where we're starting from. Unlike some of our international competitors, the financial services sector in this country has not grown in real terms since 2008. Now, we feel it was right that changes were made in the aftermath of the global financial crisis. But the Chancellor spoke of a concern that this has had unintended consequences, that the system is created, it's sometimes gone too far, and that we are in danger of eliminating risk-taking altogether, and that we have been regulating for risk. We have not always been regulating for growth. This is a topic of conversation that we're focused on now in the Treasury. And I want to be clear that updating this approach should not mean putting our economic and financial stability at risk. The budget, which all of you would have seen in October, was about our commitment to building economic stability in the long run. But this is the moment where we should and we could take decisive action to start redressing that balance and take the steps that are needed for growth, for competitiveness, and investment across our country. We started putting this into practice at Mansion House. And Miles, you were there where you heard the Chancellor lay out her plan to deliver secure and sustainable growth on a platform of stability, investment, and reform. Because we want to drive investors and boost savers' returns, we announced consultations on proposals to deliver major consolidation of the defined contribution market and the local government pension scheme. And meanwhile, you will all be aware we have now completed the final steps to reforming Solvency II and committed the Treasury, the PRA, and the National Wealth Fund to work together to crowd in insurers. Both will strengthen insurers' ability to make productive investments in a wider range of assets, supporting the growth of both the UK economy and the insurance sector itself. You would have seen that new remit letters have been sent to the FCA, the PRA, the PSR, and FPC, reflecting our view that there's opportunity for more responsible risk-taking across our country. And we've made clear to regulators that they should be working all together to support our ambition for inclusive and sustainable growth while continuing to protect financial stability. We want to see that proportionate, effective regulation, the sort that encourages businesses in the UK to start up, to scale up, and to innovate, which in turn boosts trade and attracts inward investment to the UK, driving economic growth. To that end, we are consulting on abolishing the current certification regime and replacing it with a more proportionate approach that will reduce costs for business. You may have also heard the Chancellor talk in her Mansion House speech about reinvigorating our capital markets, engines of growth for businesses up and down the country, through initiatives like Pisces, the new regulated market for private company shares, which we've committed to legislate for by May next year, alongside our listings reform, which will make it quicker and easier for companies to raise capital. Pisces will make private secondary markets more transparent and efficient, serving the companies around the UK who want to scale and who want to grow. In doing so, I sincerely hope it will boost our pipeline for future IPOs in the UK. We also announced our intention to launch a pilot digital gilt instrument issuance, or DIGIT as we're calling it, in the Treasury, using distributed ledger technology, something I know that the City UK has welcomed. And we are committed to supporting mutuals and cooperatives in a way that can help the sector to grow and play its part in driving innovation and economic growth across the country. We've also responded to the findings of the Joe Garner's Future of Payments review by publishing our National Payments Vision, which I was very pleased to speak at, setting out our ambitions for a crucial sector and improving both regulatory coordination innovation using next-generation technology to provide greater choice for UK consumers and also businesses. And speaking of the next generation, we are championing fintech as a central part of the government's growth mission, opening the door for new products and services with huge potential. A key step is laying down the foundations for a long-term regulatory framework for open banking and open finance as well. And we're delivering on this through the data bill, which is currently progressing through Parliament. Earlier this month, I also announced the government's plans for regulating crypto assets, including a new regulated activity for stablecoins in the UK. The future role of stablecoin remains a live question, and there are potential opportunities on both the retail and wholesale side. But while these developments in digital spaces are of course exciting, I also know that face-to-face banking is really important for a lot of people. So I was delighted that the banks have committed to rolling out 350 banking hubs to provide critical cash and banking services across the country. And this is just a first step in my mission to ensure that everyone has access to the financial services and products that they need. Some of you will know that today is Economic Abuse Awareness Day. 5.5 million women in this country have experienced economic abuse just this year alone. Partners or family members restricting their access to exactly the products and services that I'm talking about today in my speech, stripping them of the freedom and independence that is rightfully theirs. Tackling economic abuse is a key part of my financial inclusion agenda, and so I especially welcome any efforts to make sure financial services meets everyone's needs. And I'm proud to be joining the Survivor Economic Abuse event in Parliament later today. When we consider how best to improve the lives of people across the UK, we know that our partnership with financial services centres around the world are key. We don't want to be operating in isolation, and that will be top of my mind as we work to progress those relationships in the coming months, to work to secure free and open trade with our most economically important partners, whether that's the United States, our single biggest destination for financial service trade, economies like India, with whom we're holding a financial dialogue next week and will be resuming trade talks shortly, and the likes of China and the Gulf states, and of course, the European Union. These are all vital steps that are being taken here and now, and to ensure that the sector remains competitive and continues to make the most of all the talent that's available, regardless of gender or background. We've pledged to hold it to account on progress made towards accelerating the objectives of the Women in Finance Charter. And at Mansion House, we also took the first steps towards creating a longer-term sector plan as we committed to publishing the first ever financial services growth and competitiveness strategy in the spring next year. This is going to serve as our guiding framework through which we will pursue sustainable, inclusive growth for the sector over the next 10 years. And the call for evidence sets out 5 cross-sector policy pillars that will form the basis of this strategy that the government will take forward. And I'm very pleased to say that regional growth is one of those pillars, alongside innovation and tech, the regulatory environments, skills and access to talent, and the international partnerships and trade that I referenced earlier in the speech. I know that all of you will agree that these are topics that will be critical to the success of firms and the financial services sector up and down the country. But I want to ask for your help in putting this strategy together. Miles will know that the Chancellor has been very clear that it can't be me sitting in the Treasury with officials writing this strategy. It's got to be co-designed with industry, because a long-term vision for the sector can only work if it has your support and the sector's support. So the call for evidence closes on the 12th of December, and I hope everyone here will consider providing their views if they haven't already done so. I know you have an amazing agenda for the rest of the day, and I wish I could stay, but we have votes in Parliament today, so I'll be taking the train back to London. But I want to hear more about the outcome of the discussions that you're having today. And I hope that all of you know that the government's been clear about its central mission to deliver economic growth. But it can't happen without the thriving financial services sector that we have in our country today. So I hope you find today productive and rewarding, but this isn't the final engagement that I have with you. We want to work with you on the financial services strategy going forward. We want to look at what you feed back for the call for input, which finishes on the 12th of December. And I just want all of you to know that we have identified financial services as one of the pillars for growth because we believe there's a lot more potential that we could be unlocking from people in this room today and from the sector itself. So thank you, Miles and the City UK, for supporting me in this mission, but also a special thank you because even before we were in government, in opposition, we did our paper financing growth. And I have to say, the City UK really played its part in helping us deliver that as well. Thank you very much.